Jam on toast!
Hey everybody, welcome to the Jam on Camera Ride. Today the toast is to Frozen. This was such a talked about movie for animation last year that I had to get out and go see it before it left theaters. I just felt compelled. So the short sell on this one is that a princess, on the day that she's crowned queen, flees her kingdom in fear of her people, but leaves behind a persistent winner when she goes. Her sister, the princess, goes to find the queen, bring her back, and save the kingdom. My love for this one is that it's as much a romantic story between two sisters as anything else. Not like that, but that coming together in the end that really leaves you with that feel-good fantasy moment of a comedy. That's what I'm talking about when I mean that. My hated was Anna in the beginning, especially your songs. They were completely horribly written using like modern day things like Totally, and I was baffled by it, and I almost left the theater. But it comes back into play later. It's just still not an enjoyable thing for me to sit through. The MVP for this to me was Elsa, the queen, the Ice Queen, if you will. Even though she's kind of portrayed as an antagonist in the beginning of the movie, which I don't really agree with, but I can see how you could make that argument. It's very much about her empowering herself and being free to be who she wants to be and not be afraid of what anyone else says. Very punk rock to me. I very much enjoyed that. And it's really her torment, if you will, that we're immersed in throughout the entire movie. All the winter is very symbolic of her shutting down her world except for her and what she... Let's move on to categories. Aesthetics. This is a beautiful movie. It's amazing what she does with the ice in the movie. The modeling for all that's just beautiful. You actually see it generate. You see like just little spikes and things come out, and you just have to imagine that somebody's making that happen. Someone either programmed or live controlled that on that much of a scale. Oh my gosh, that's amazing. The ice creatures are dynamic. They change shape and interact with the environment in very fun ways. Even the basic people, as much as it kind of bothered me that you could tell where clones were, there's a lot of people in this movie. You have to do that, and they did such a good job of making them look different, even if they kind of cloned them and then started fiddling with their face. I think that'd be a good challenge for animation students to go through and look and just try to find people who actually look alike. I think they'd have a hard time of it. Other than the sisters, because they look freaking identical, except I think Elsa's like 2 inches taller maybe, with white hair. And then when Anna gets white hair at one point, the only thing really separating them is where the freckles are. Very confusing from like a trailer perspective, but very interesting for the movie going live. If it wasn't for that weird thing that Disney does with weird animal sidekicks and stuff, I think I'd get a lot more into it. I don't think I've been this impressed with environmental animation since Finding Nemo. I mean, hats off. Aesthetics gets a 90. Character development. This movie's a whole buttload of character development, and it's very much exampled. We even see like exposition where the prince is talking to Anna, and we see character shifts there. We see character shifts in Anna throughout the whole movie as she's growing and dealing with serious situations for the first time, being out of the castle and trying to come to terms with her sister. Her sister Elsa literally is the whole movie her trying to deal with this and deal with her power and deal with her people and become the queen that everyone needs, even if it's not the one they deserve. Character development gets a 90. Storyline. I really thought the story was structured really well. I thought we were going to see kind of a lonely trek for her to go after her sister. Had no idea that guy was going to show up. Had no idea that the reindeer was actually going to be part and a character. And I could not have guessed for the life of me how that snowman was going to show up. But very funny that he did the way he did, and I didn't exactly hate him, so decent implementation there. With the different parties leaving the castle and coming back, and all the character management there, I thought it was structured really well. I think it was timed well, and I think they lined it up pretty well and believable, because I didn't think about it twice until just now. And I especially like the ending where we kind of dealt with each of the characters involved. Storyline gets a 90. Compulsion. Like I mentioned, the beginning is a little grindy to get through, and then you're through and you're like, oh, well, this has gotten really good really fast. If you're like me and that beginning scenes and songs just kind of bother you, just kind of plug your ears while your kids sing or whatever. Watch the pretty pictures, and then Eventually, it'll get going, and the story actually begins, and yeah. And it's fair to mention that you kind of have to get through those first 20 minutes until the story starts, let alone the movie actually gets good, but it is a movie that's designed to be accessible to kids, so that's part of it. It's just kind of how it is, and once you get through that, or you just start it 20 minutes in, I think you're going to have a good movie. Compulsion gets an 85. Now, if you total all that up, you get an average of 88.75. Now, I've got to have high expectations for a movie to go see it in theater, and paying to go see the movie for the first time does make me feel a little critical of it, but I think overall it's a great movie. It's definitely one I think I want to keep in my collection. It's definitely one I want to rewatch when it comes out on DVD, but I don't know how long it's going to last in watchability as of yet. Until I have the kind of option to go through that, I'm not going to have that opinion. I recommend this for everyone. It's a great movie for a family. It's a great movie for adults. It's a great movie just for kids to watch on their own. There's very little to point out to say, hey, you should be careful of this. But that's it for me. I'm Cameron. If you don't like me, bite me. If you want to see anything else we're up to, go ahead and click the annotations, and they'll take you to our other channels.